Hello, people out there, and welcome back to a fresh new season of your favorite podcast, Seek Your Purpose. A new year, a new season, a fresh perspective of viewing life from an all new angle, and you're seeking deep, tired inspiration from even the minutest creature we are being surrounded by. Welcome back to the show. This is your host for the show, Mayank Sehra. So, if you're listening to me for the very first time and you discover the podcast just like that, then I welcome you on board, and I'm sure you'll be having an amazing time over here. So tap the follow button to follow the show on the app you're listening to never ever miss out an episode the time we upload it. And if you're a regular listener and love the content I've produced till date, then please open Apple Podcasts and Spotify, rate the show a 5-star rating, drop in your reviews, and let us grow organically by reaching out to the maximum of such purpose seekers that we have around us. So excited to hear the next episode? So am I. So let's kickstart the episode. Here we go. When I say the word creativity, what comes to your mind? What images, ideas, people, places you resemble creativity with? For me, certain flashes of art, architecture, design, innovation, music, films, podcasts, videos, reels, promotions, ads, interior, entrepreneurship, Silicon Valley, iPhone, technology, etc. This all comes to my mind, which resembles the word creativity to me. So to cut it short, the world is synonymous to creativity. Let me ask you all, how many of us are here who feel they lack a creative approach to their problems? Or how many of us are here who feel they find it difficult to give light to their creative imagination? How many of us are here who feel creativity is in their ballgame? We aren't born creative. If you resound with a creative approach or a creative mindset but fail to turn your thoughts into action, then this episode requires your ear. Hear me out. I'm currently reading a profoundly moving and deeply wired book titled The Power of Thoughts by Swami Mukunanda. He's an alumnus of IIT Delhi and IIM Calcutta who chose to renounce a promising corporate career and embrace monkhood. And over the past 40 years, his lectures have been well stated as humorous, his arguments logical, well laid out, and his advice as practical. So while reading chapter 12 of his book, I came across a concept with the title Creative Thinking, Your Hidden Treasure. As I always keep on tapping my intellectual self, the topic sounds intriguing to me, and so did the wisdom which he glanced upon. When I went through the chapter, I was able to relate every ideology that he shared to a certain extent, which made me tap into my reflective thinking and jotted some amazing ideations to work further. So the concept which I'll be sharing now is duly inspired from the book and amalgamated with my perspective. To go beyond with what is being touted as obvious thinking, which is the first layer of our subconscious mindset, we must dwell ourselves into a simple 4-step approach to develop a creative thinking mindset. Remember, it's an approach and not a hack. It can show you and illuminate the light upon you, but having said that, the groundwork has to be done by you. Let's go. The first one is investigation. So the quickest way to get into the skin of the first idea is to imagine a child. Recall how curious children are. They always seem to be inquisitive and excited to know what lies beyond their sight. They show enthusiasm and interest in knowing things that even times we run out of answers, but their caution prevail. So the idea of investigation, it suggests digging deeper for the related information and knowledge. So rather than assuming that I know, adopt a beginner's mindset. Which also means that get rid of that I already know it attitude and develop a childlike curiosity. So in this way, we stop relying on our presumptions and biasness, and we start developing an open-minded approach to embrace the unaware, unheard and unseen. Because you never know when a good idea may get into your head with such a lance. You can also call it as a stage of research, where your mind is consciously working on accumulated intellectual resources from which you may be able to generate new ideas. So in my case, I'll give you an example. I get involved in reading books, listening to good podcasts, attending seminars or webinars, watching interesting conversations and TED Talks of change makers, and then noting down important and relevant pointers. And later reflecting on these and then curating and inculcating the best practices as per my understanding. That's a good way to deal and live a life full of influences, right? Better influences. So I let the ideas flow into my mindset with a pool of intellectual resources. So, investigation, research, or developing a childlike curiosity is your step number 1. Second one, incubation. To better understand this step of developing a mindset, recall the process of making a filter coffee at your home. So the easiest approach is to take a spoonful of coffee powder, sugar if required, and few drops of milk. So all that is now required is to keep on blending it to make a smooth, viscous coffee brown paste. And we kept on beating it until the color turns dark brown, as I just said, and we could smell the coffee easily. And if not this, or simply recall how food is being prepared in our homes. Our mothers, they keep on simmering the dishes for minutes to get the actual taste of all the ingredients. That's why the food is cooked with motherly love. It's all about incubation, giving it that much required time and efforts. So the idea of incubation is just like that. It's the subconscious process that is essential to creativity. It simply means letting the conscious mind relax and allowing the subconscious mind to get to work now. And once your subconscious mind has gathered the information from step 1 of investigation, the simmering or blending of information is required, which we'll also call the processing stage. So the best way to solve a complex problem is to submerge yourself in the matter until you hit a wall. Then you cannot go any further. Distract yourself, preferably by taking a walk, a quick nap, music listening, driving, or simply a jog, which is my favorite nowadays. So incubation or subconsciously processing the information is step 2. Moving on is the third step, which is illumination. So after incubation, bam, an idea will strike your mind in a flash of sight. It's when an intuitive realization happens and you know you've got the answer. And when it happens, do not simply let it go. No. Do the documentation. It's much required. Document it as soon as possible. Do not let the ideas get out of your mind. For me, I always keep the notes section on my iPhone handy. And I've even pinned a self WhatsApp group. So whenever I have an illuminated insight, I simply note it down and record an audio message to remind myself easily later on. So never skip incubation. You spend hours working on a problem, then switch off and let it go. Hand it over to your subconscious, and it's even possible that the universe might step in on your side. Yep. So since illumination does not come in words but in ideas, it invariably happens in flashes. And this made me recall a habit of Michael Jackson, which I have read somewhere. So whenever Michael gets illuminated with ideas, he immediately dials his manager and asks him to document it while he vents out the idea. And guess what? Which hour of the day does he feel illuminated the most? It's 3 a.m. in the morning. He dials his manager 3 a.m. in the morning and asks him to simply write down whatever he speaks of. So illumination or your eureka moment or your intuition call is your step number 3. Now the final one, the most required one, is the most pivotal, the verification part. So in the above step, you have illuminated intuition will tell you that you found the answer, but without verifying, you must not rashly accept it. The reason is that the intuition is not yet perfect and could be wrong. Hence, this is the stage when you take on the role of a scientist and you start validating the ideas. It also involves putting the inspiration into work, the vision into paint, and the ideas into a business plan. Or simply, announcing it to the world and making yourself accountable for your deeds. And it is duly important to verify the information that you have got illuminated with. So do an amalgamation of your rich life experience and document the journey. So verification like a scientist is your step number 4. So when I first read the chapter, I found it so intriguing that I forced myself to read the concept again and again to get into the skin of the concept. And it is so well curated by the author. The steps which he mentioned are well researched and counted upon. So in order to sum up all these 4 steps, let me just give you a brief sum about these. Investigate like a researcher as deep as it can get. Incubate it with your subconscious at play. Then illuminate it while you all let it all flow, documenting the idea, and later validate the entire idea like a scientist. So investigate, incubate, illuminate, and validate. Try it. It will be fun and relatable. Because in this utterly revamping and fast-pacing research era, the world needs your creative idea, my friend. And the world can't wait to see it happen. And I'm very much sure that you yourself can't wait to see it happen. What lies within you. So tap onto your creative self because you are damn creative. Believe me, you are damn creative no matter what. Make it a reality. Work on it. Take care. Cheers. So that's what I've got for you in today's episode. An episode which was duly created with love, hope, faith, passion, compassion, and a sense of gentle reminder to tap upon. So if you feel connected with my perspective at any point of time, then drop in your comments on the podcast app you're listening to. You can even drop me a mail at officialseekyourpurpose@gmail.com or DM me on Instagram, Facebook or LinkedIn at MAYANKSEHRA. That is Mayank Sahra. So I'll be looking forward to your messages. So hey self, happy 30s. So let's create a life which we're extremely proud of creating, living, and thus giving it back to the society in the most genuine way. Cheers. I'll see you in the next episode.